Initially, I mean, I was getting threatening messages, and despite the fact that I committed no crime, I was getting a lot of threatening messages. You know, George Charamba was also helping that, you know, by posting on his Twitter accounts, Twitter then, that I would go to prison. And then it became clear to me that the fact that I would go to prison had nothing to do with actually the facts presented in that court. And the magistrate who tried me, one Feresi or Ferosu Chakanyuka, she was so determined, and by the time the case was coming to a close, the trial that is, she was exhibiting a lot of anger and bitterness. She was very emotional. She had now taken everything personal. I think she had gotten the instruction that I must be convicted, and I could read from her expression, I could read from her rantings. I mean, it was not what you see in courts normally, to see an emotional magistrate like she was, and she was sending the message that she was ready. And in as much as I almost knew that the guilt would come, but what was more shocking to me was the 4 years for inciting public violence. The state could not prove a case against me completely. I mean, you read the judgment, the conviction at the magistrate's court, there was no case. There was no evidence presented. There was nothing. In fact, she resorted to Section 257, which would say, because I failed to present a defense outline to the police during the warned and cautioned statement, then I was guilty. That's what basically she said. And then she says nobody needs to present any evidence that I was guilty of the crime they were charging me, which was bizarre. And it was unbelievable. And you would wonder, did this lady ever read law? She probably did. But of course, she's working under circumstances that make it impossible to apply her mind to the facts. But the 4 years actually shocked me more than the conviction then. I think, you know, if anything, I honestly hope that at times Malava would sit back at his office at the Supreme Court, at the JSC, or wherever, even at his home. He should reflect and say, where did I take the judiciary from the time he took over from Chijausigu to now? I think there has been a remarkable deterioration in terms of judicial capture and also fairness. I mean, I was in prison, you actually realize that the prisons are full of, number one, the poor, people who can't defend themselves, who commit crimes but then go as self-actors, or who don't even commit the crimes, but then they're unfortunate. And then because they can't defend themselves, they're in prison. Then the number two category of people you find in our prisons are political prisoners. People who have committed no crime like me, that at the end, after 8 months of serving in prison, then they say, you committed no crime, go home. And this is under the watch of Luke Malava. He knows better that our magistrates have become kangaroo courts. There is no, when it comes to political cases, you clearly could see that what is happening here has nothing to do with the law. And this is happening under the watch of Luke Malava. He knew that Chakanyuka was going to convict me. He probably had communicated with her, or whoever gives the orders, they had done so even through him. He knows, and he can't lie to this nation that justice in this country is blind. That is not true.